Hey guys, Chris Funk the Feral One here. Going to do a video that I've been aiming to do for a while, but it's just been a rough summer. Sorry about that. The Coosa HD and the Liska comparison. Now I've got them on the trailer. I'm going to get them in the water, but I wanted you to look at a few things here first so you could see them at a different angle. Because they're very similar boats in spec wise. 12 foot 6 versus 12 foot 1. They're both 34 inches wide. They both say they weigh 84 pounds with the seat in them. Now, to me, I think the Liska's a little lighter than that, so I think it's a little lighter than the HD, but that's just the way, it could be just the way it feels to me when I pick it up. But you could tell on the front ends that they're definitely totally different design boats for what they do, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. I don't know how well you can see the comparison of the two of them on the video, but you could definitely tell this is a fat girl up front. She's got a lot more volume in the bow. Now, the most important thing about that volume is when you're fishing stuff that's class 2, class 3, if you do get out in some major waves, when you have a wave crash over the bow, all this volume is going to force the boat up out through the wave. It's going to force the boat up. All the gravity is going to cause the water to go out through the scupper holes. You're going to have a drier ride. You're going to have a safer ride, to me, in serious moving water in a boat that's got this much volume. And I don't know how well you could tell along the bottom, but it's also got a little bit of rocker. You know, it's designed specifically for moving water, but if I'm in up to class 3 moving water, this is the boat I want to be in. It's more maneuverable, and the volume in the bow will help it pop up and out of those waves. The one other benefit of the volume in the bow is that cavernous well up front. As far as being able to store gear, you could store gear for days in the front of the HD. I said in one of my videos you could put a mother-in-law in there. Trust me, she doesn't like that a bit. But you could put a lot of stuff just in the front of this boat. Another thing you notice that's different on the Coosa HD over the Liska is the rod tip protectors. The Liska does not have rod tip protectors. Now coming around to this side looking at the Liska, you can see there's a definite volume difference in the bow, and you can see lower sides. Now the lower sides, where that absolutely benefits you, is in the wind. The Liska will handle being windblown much better than the Coosa HD. So if you're in water that, you know, primarily still water, or you're out on the shallow flats or something like that, the wind's blowing, this boat is going to be affected much less than the Coosa HD. So the lower sides, that is really, really good. The problem where that gets you is this also makes for a wetter ride. If you're taking quartering waves from the side, you're going to get a little bit of water in the cockpit. All right, you can see a little bit of difference in that lack of volume in the bow. The lack of volume in the bow, one, makes it great for windage, but you can definitely tell that this one, when you hit a wave, you're going to punch through the wave. It's going to crash over the top of it. If it's any size wave, it's going to crash over the top of it, come on into the cockpit with you. You're going to have a wetter ride. Now, it's not a dangerous ride because the water's going to go out because of the scupper, but just remember that this is going to be a little bit wetter ride than the HD is. And you can see that even though there's a volume difference, there is a large amount of gear storage up front. But I mean, the difference is maybe you can put 3 days worth of gear in this one, whereas you can put a week's worth of gear in the HD. One other thing that I wanted to mention was the handles. Some people love the hard handle on the front of the HD, and some people like the soft handles on the Liska, but you can tell there is a little bit of a difference from one to the other. I like them both. I think that this one's probably a little bit more ergonomic. How about that big word? This one's a little bit more ergonomic for when I'm carrying it. It feels better in my hand, but I don't have a problem with either one of them. I just wanted y'all to see the difference. All right, let's talk about the sterns here while we're at it. You could see there's a little bit of a difference. The Liska has a gigantic tank well, and I love that part of it. I don't put a whole lot of stuff in the stern hatch and ever have, but if you want to, the Coosa HD is your boat. For me, I love this part. I can put my J crates back here, I can put my camera bags, I can put whatever I want to, extra coolers. It's a huge amount of space in here. Now there's a round hatch kit. I don't have it because I never do anything back there, but there is a round hatch kit that you can get to put a round hatch for back access into this area if you wanted to. They are both set up to run drag chains out of the back. I do not run a drag chain. I will run a anchor, on the flats if I want to out of the back, but it's only in non-moving water because I don't do all that drifting stuff. But anyway, both of them are set up for power poles if you want to use power poles. I do not, but mine is set up a little bit different. Now, guys, don't email Jackson and say, hey, why does his boat look like this? Well, it's because I did it. But I added the extra tracks. These are Yak Attack extra tracks, because I run my command stand back here when I'm filming. and this is what these stands are for. But that's what I like to do with these. I take all the bungees out of the back of my boat, and I use the little my bungees with hooks to go in here if I want to hold something in here. If I'm running bigger water, I will strap things down back here. But I don't usually run the bungees. I don't like them, they get in the way. So if I want them in there, I put them in there. If not, I run it like this, naked. The Liska and the HD both have flush mounts. Now one thing you'll notice on the HD's flush mounts is they are canted back a little bit more. Much better for going underneath brush and stuff like that. These are a little bit more straight up, so you got to be aware of that when you're paddling underneath trees. Alright, you can see the tank well area on the HD is considerably smaller. Still fits a J crate fine, but if I'm running a J crate and my camera bags or something like that, I'm going to have to be a little bit careful. I'm going to have to figure out how to put these things in here and without causing any problems. Like I said, it's got the back hatch to it. There's room back here. Not a lot of room. You got to be creative. It's got a lot of room inside, but it's a smaller hole, so you got to be creative getting your stuff down in there. Again, I have stuff added to mine so I can run my command stands. And I've taken the bungees out of this. I've got the eyelets mounted in here, so I run a bungee if I want to. But normally I just run it like that naked. So while I got them here side by side, I want you to see, you know, like I said, we're not going to talk about accessories, but I know that the console is not an accessory. It comes in the boat. But you can see the difference in the console. The console in the HD comes all the way back here, all the way between your feet, whereas the console in the Liska stops in front of my feet, because I'm short-legged anyway. But to me, the console in the Liska was much more user-friendly than the console in the HD. But you see, I've taken them both out because I don't like them at all. And that's my favorite thing about them, is they're removable. So they're both in the shed at the house, have never been used, and are not going to be used. This is another major difference in these boats, is the seating system. Now, the seats are, the bodies and all are about the same. But as far as the way you put it in the boat, the HD has 2 high positions, just like that, and 3 low positions. Back, middle, and front. So anytime you move that boat, you're going to trim it, you know, and you trim it, to me, that's a 4-inch difference. So you're going to definitely, especially if a fat guy's sitting in it, you're going to change the pitch of the boat. You're going to change the attitude of the boat in the water. So since I spend most of my time in the high position, I would like another, you know, little bit of way to trim it more in the high position than so in the low position. Now, if I'm in serious moving water, you better believe I'm going to be in the low position, and I'm going to trim it for the most maneuverability. Going to go all the way back here to raise my bow. I want it to be able to be loose and move quickly. But that's the main difference in this seating system and the one in the Liska. I'll show you that next. Okay, the Liska runs on this track system. Now, there is a high, there is a low. Alright, the Liska runs on a track system. Now, there is a high and there is a low. And then they go in with these little pins. Now the thing I like about that is that this entire system slides, and it slides over about 8 inches. So that one I've got a 4-inch movement every time I move. This one I've got 8 inches that I can move it back and forth, but if I want to move it an inch, that's all I have to move it. So I can fine tune this boat for the ride that I want. I love this system. If they ever put this system in the Coosa HD, that would just put that even closer to being the absolute most versatile kayak on the face of the earth. And what you'll find on the Coosa HD is, although it's extremely stable, I mean stable enough to stand in pretty well, you'll see that there's a lot of edging ability where you can lean into a wave, you can kick it, you can slide a little bit, you know, if you need to get it up out of the current, especially if you're crossing into moving water. You really need to be able to raise your edge so you can get up over that moving water, or it'll just roll you. I have no problem standing in the Coosa HD. I can throw a cast net, I can cast, I can set the hook hard, I can do whatever I want to and not feel like I'm going to go swimming. You know, and it took a while for me to get used to that in a boat, and then when this one came out, you know, I definitely have enjoyed fishing out of my Coosa HDs. There's a lot of, like I said, that there goes that that initial stability is not quite there. The primary stability is not quite what you're used to, but then all of a sudden the secondary locks in and boom, all right, you're on it. So that's that little bit of, I'm gonna die, and then right there it stops. So I've been real pleased with the Coosa HD every time I've been out in it, no matter what I'm in. If I'm in moving water, still water, it's an excellent, excellent boat. You can tell that the Coosa HD is quite a bit more maneuverable. I mean, it takes a little bit more to get this one to spin completely around. You know, it's not bad in moving water, but honestly, if I was going to be in class 1s and 2s, yeah, I would think about this boat. If I'm going over into the 3s, you better believe my choice is going to be the Coosa HD. If I fished all the time in moving water, the Coosa HD would be my choice. Since I go back and forth between lakes, rivers, all sorts of different stuff, I try to keep a Liska handy because this one will do a lot of stuff well. You know, I like it in the flat water. I love the stability in this boat. The Liska has some sick primary stability. I mean, you lock into it, and I mean, you can do stupid stuff standing up in this boat. You know, I have no problem coming out, doing whatever I want to, getting wherever I need to. You know, I'm not going to do tricks. I'm not going to stand on sides. I'm not going to jump up and down and do 360s and stuff like that. Fishing is the best test of any stability of a boat. This boat has outstanding stability. Like I said, it's more in the primary as far as feeling super confident the minute you stand up. There's no question that you're on a stable boat. I'm in the high position and my head is all the way over the side. Now usually I tell people if your head goes over the side of the boat, your butt's going to follow. That's not necessarily true with the Liska. It's about like a baby big rig. Well, guys and gals, I hope this has been helpful, and I'm sorry it took so long to get it out to you. You know, they're both great boats, but if you had to think about them as far as pluses and minuses, you know, plus would definitely be moving water. Volume, excellent, excellent, excellent moving water. Plus on this one would be stability, a couple pounds less, and you know, several $100s cheaper. You better believe that's a plus, especially in my family. They're both excellent, excellent boats. They do exactly what they were designed to do. They both have a spot in the market. They both have a spot in my fleet. If I can help answer any questions that I didn't cover, y'all just hit me up. I'll do the best I can. Y'all take care, and we'll see you on the river. Hey, I loaded everything up, and then I remembered, you didn't talk about speed. And that's because I really don't worry a whole lot about speed. What I worry about is ease of paddling. You know, once I get it up to speed, how hard is it to keep it going? You know, speed-wise, you're probably talking in the 3-mile-an-hour range on those boats. Now, if I had to give one an edge over the other, again, it depends on the situation, what they're in. In flat water, wide open water, I'd probably give the edge to the Liska. It is very easy to get at speed and keep at speed. Wind doesn't bother it that much, and it's really good doing that way on that flat water. Now, if you go into the moving water, the edge is going to be, of course, to the HD. The HD's volume will allow it to ride up and over, especially going upstream. It'll ride up and over current, and it's a whole lot easier to keep at speed in the HD than it is in the Liska. So I guess it's kind of relative as to both of those boats, which one's best, which one's fastest, but that, I hope that helps a little bit when you're making your choice.